Smarties, welcome back to the second half of our conversation with Marydee Sklar, executive functioning expert and founder of the Seeing My Time program. We are so excited for you to hear the next part of our conversation. If you are just tuning in today, make sure you go back and listen to last week's episode, which is the first half of our conversation. These episodes are really dense, full of wonderful information, and we can't wait to have Marydee back because there's so much more we could have talked about with her. As a reminder, we do have an extended conversation with her that we are posting exclusively on our Patreon. In order to hear the rest of our conversation with Marydee, go ahead and sign up on Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/LearnSmarterPodcast. And you can hear the extended conversation with her and all of the other amazing people that we've had on the podcast over the last 6 years, and also some other goodies that we put up just exclusively for you guys. Thank you for supporting us in the work that we're doing. We love bringing these kinds of conversations to you and can't wait for you to hear the rest of this one. Let's dig in.
You want to learn faster, but sometimes working harder is just not the answer. You have to learn smarter. The Educational Therapy Podcast.
Hi, Smarties. Welcome to episode 323 of Learn Smarter, the Educational Therapy Podcast. I'm Stephanie Pitts.
And I'm Rachel Kapp.
And today we are so excited to continue our conversation from episode 322 with Marydee Sklar talking about seeing time.
There's a lot of misunderstanding about the behavior that we're seeing from learners when it's really weak time management, weak sense of time perception. What are some of the unique struggles that learners who struggle with time experience?
If you can't do it, you can't do it, okay? And a lot of times the behavior you see in students, avoiding homework, not doing homework, etc., the first question you have to ask yourself is not about time management. It's about what don't they understand?
Of course.
Where are they stuck? Okay, because there's confusion.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever there's confusion, your limbic system is activated because you're in anxiety. My mom's going to be upset with me, and the teacher's going to be upset with me. I'm going to fail that test, blah, 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 blah. You can't think, you can't problem solve, you can't sit down and go to work and use your executive functioning, because executive functioning requires effort. These are not automatic skills. Working memory is kind of hardwired into the brain, okay? But this requires effort. One of the conferences I went to years ago, it was a big wig guy. And that's what hit me like a little hammer in my head. I go, oh, there's my key idea from this whole talk. This is effortful. Okay. It takes work.
Yes. It's effortful work. Yep.
It takes work. And so in my workbook, I talk about what executive functions are. And we have a picture of the brain, and you evaluate your brain's strengths or weaknesses. And it's in the back of that book too, Steph, in the back of the evaluation of your executive functioning skills.
Okay.
And you evaluate your brain strengths and weaknesses, because there is no presently agreed upon definition for what constitutes executive functioning. It depends upon who you are reading, listening to, or whatever. Everybody has their own little take, their little tweak. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I've decided through the many years of doing this, working with hundreds of people, I've decided that the best definition for executive function and functioning is purposeful actions. Purposeful actions. You have to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why in the beginning, we talk about metacognition right off the bat. That's the first thing we talk about. And I describe it as the voices on your shoulder. I have them do a little visualization. One voice is your wise voice, your angel voice or whatever. I want you to get the picture of that. Give it flesh, give it feet, make it shape, color, whatever. That's your wise voice. It comes from your prefrontal cortex. It wants you to thrive. And then I describe the emotional brain as that other voice on your shoulder that it's a little harder to describe. Some people call the little demon, the little 3-year-old, the little, something that it's all about fear, anxiety, want, desire. Okay. That voice, give it shape, give it size, and have their eyes closed. Kids love to do this. Okay, kids love to do this.
Inside Out emotions from Disney.
Yeah, they get to see them. Okay, they want to make them real. We're bringing it out of this abstract realm of they don't think about their thinking.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Adults don't, trust me, adults don't think about their thinking. Okay, and so it's identifying these two voices in your head and who wins the argument.
Yeah.
Because everything that we do, every choice we make is actually activating that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do I pick up my shoes and put them back in the closet this morning or not? The extra shoes on the floor, right? It's like, do I put them away or not? Okay. Every little thing that we do. So it's purposeful. And otherwise, we're just on autopilot. If we go with the emotional brain, we're just like reacting to the environment. We're not in charge. We don't have a chance to have a choice. So that whole thing, you have to build that in.
Yep.
And then you have to have the kids understand that when they're in a new learning situation and the teacher is presenting new information, circling back, I've taught the kids, I've given them foundations that I'm skipping over here with you guys. In order to learn, you have to have a certain degree of prior knowledge, prior experience with which to hang on to that new learning. Okay. It's going to like go to a spot and bring, oh yeah, this triangle thing, the pyramid, it's kind of like a triangle. Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're in a situation where you can't make a connection and the teacher's yammering away, the first immediate emotion is going to be confusion. What are they talking about? And then if the teacher still can't help them make a connection, then the next feeling they're going to go into is feeling rather helpless.
Yeah.
I can't do this. I've never been good at math. I don't know what she means by writing a theme, the topic sentence for my essay. What does that mean? I don't understand that concept. And then if you go from confusion to helpless, and then from there, you're going to go straight to fight, flight, or freeze. You're going to go to a behavior. And you don't get to choose the behavior. It's your emotional brain saying, flight, get me out of here. Okay. So get me out of here. That's when the kids get sick. Excuse me, I have a tummy ache. I don't feel good. Mm-hmm. I had a school nurse, I have 2 school nurses, tell me that they knew exactly when math was in every room in their building. Because that's when the kids showed up with tummy aches and headaches.
Interesting.
This is where you find confusion about something. They'll just escape. They'll just disappear. I used to do it. I was like skip into my brain.
Yep.
I'll just go to my fantasy world. I didn't have to leave the room. But I wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
I was gone. This is where drugs and alcohol can come in, some kids, because they're trying to medicate. They're trying to get away from pain. So they get that way. They'll go to anger. This is where you get explosive behavior. The kids are acting out some way or another in the classroom. They'll get angry with their parents. I hate this teacher. The teacher has it in for me. Why do I have to learn this stupid stuff? Get off my back, Mom. So they're going to go to those places, or they'll go into anxiety and depression, that ultimate withdrawal.
Yeah, or the class clown.
Yeah, class clown. Yeah. It's like, I remember when I was thinking about a classroom teacher, what was the kid that was doing that? When there was the kind of behavior, it's like, what did I do to set off that behavior? What was missing? And I was thinking, I was probably talking about fractions, and suddenly I'm getting all this behavior that's out in the classroom. So the behavior, people tie it to like, just suck it up and have discipline.
Or teaching the grit.
Yeah, they tough it through it, sit down and do it, figure it out. Mm-hmm. They can't figure it out, okay? They don't have anything to connect it to. So they avoid it. Right. And the farther you are from your initial contact with information, like the teacher teaches you something in the morning, you get home from school. I've heard these 2 different numbers. 40 to 70% of what was taught in the morning, you've forgotten. Those neurons are like kind of totally shut down. They're not gone, but they're not activated. And you just have a couple guys waiting in anticipation. Are we going to use this information or not? And if you don't start your homework that day, they're going to go to sleep and your brain's going to use them for something else. And tomorrow, when you look at that assignment, it really makes no sense. There's nothing for you to connect it to. So that's when I say behavior, time management. First, that's why I teach parents this. I said, when you see behaviors, the first thing you have to do as a parent, as a teacher, as an educator, is to calm your own brain, because those behaviors push your buttons. Okay.
Yep.
And nothing good happens out of the emotional brain. So you have to center yourself. I teach people to kind of center themselves. Feel your feet. Take a deep breath. Okay. Then when you, as the parent, as the authorities, the adult in the room, okay, when you have centered your brain, you ask these 2 questions. Number 1, where is the confusion? And it can take some digging to figure out where are they stuck. And they can be stuck on the weirdest things. I remember a kid not turning in an assignment because a teacher had sent home a big piece of paper and they were supposed to fold it into 8 squares and draw a picture for each chapter in the book. He didn't do the assignment. Why? He didn't know how to fold the paper into 8 boxes.
Yeah.
If he didn't have that piece of paper, he crumpled it up and threw it away. If he didn't have that piece of paper, then he couldn't do the assignment.
Yeah.
So things like that. So first question is, where is the confusion? And the second one then is, what is the executive functioning skill that needs support?
I like that.
The executive skill that typically is the problem is task initiation, getting started. Who wants to get started when everybody else in the family is playing? Or, I've been at work all day. So I teach parents, I'll role play with the kids and I'll say, so let's say you're after school and you are playing video games and mom knows you have homework. She walks in, sees that you have the video games. She goes, get off of that kitty blank computer. I'm going to take that away. And I'm going to throw it in the trash. You've got homework to do. And I looked at this kid and I said, how does that feel? Not good. Okay. Does that make you want to do it? No. It doesn't make me want to do it. Point this out to the mom. I said, let's wind this back. Instead of getting yourself centered, say, okay, go up to your child and say, excuse me, can you pause this? I need just a couple minutes with you. Just pause. If you can get them to pause, usually you can get them to pause for a second or give them space to be able to finish what they're working on. Okay. I've noticed that you haven't started your homework. I just wanted to check in. Is there anything that you're kind of stuck on? Do you have the assignment that you're clear on what you have to do? Do you have the directions? The kids, all these things the kids don't know. Do you know what the assignment pages are? Have you found, find out if they have that core thing. If they're good on that, the next question is, well, getting started is hard, isn't it? Tell you what, how about if you set the cube timer for like 10 more minutes to finish up kind of where you are with your game, let your friends know what you're doing. I'll meet you at the dining room table. You bring your homework. I have the stuff to do for work that I really don't want to do either. We'll go in and we'll get started on it together. You sit at your end of the table, I'll sit at mine, but we'll support each other to do what we don't want to do. And I ask the kids, how does that sound? And the kids go, much better. So it's switching it around, helping them figure out that, all of us have things we don't want to do. There's a whole page in the workbook about that. Doing things you don't want to do. Okay. And why? How do you think about it?
You've given us the importance of understanding metacognition, understanding the brain and how it works so that you can understand why you're having these reactions and responses, and that it also allows for parents and teachers to go from a place of being punitive to getting curious, which is what we advocate on the podcast, is what you're advocating here as well. But I wanted to go into some of the more nitty-gritty skills once that process has sort of come into place. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we chatted with you about is the value of a calendar, of a planner. And we have an episode where we're like the 4 reasons that learners don't want to use a calendar, like the 4 excuses that they give. But how do you think about a planner? How do you think about a calendar? How do you think about sort of helping learners get through their resistance to it? Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, you have to get everybody past the resistance today. Nobody wants to pick up a pencil.
We advocate for digital, but do you like a paper?
Digital can work for some brains. It is very difficult for other brains. But I'll tell you why I'm into paper, okay? And the differences between the two. Digital calendars are remarkable. They are fantastic for appointments. Okay. They're fantastic for maintaining communication between people about appointments. Depending upon the teacher, they can be very good about communicating what assignments are due. Okay. Where that seems to me falls down is that unless a school is very consistent and trains their teachers to always have their assignments posted by this hour of the day, because the kids are not going to go back, well, she hasn't posted yet. They're not going to come and do that. Mm-hmm. So that's a hole. There's lots of holes in the digital calendar. The other problem with the digital calendars is for those people who have working memory challenges, and that would include me. I have a double minus on my working memory, probably the result of a significant concussion on the playground when I was a little kid. could never do double-digit math problems in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the time I moved over into two-step, I was gone. I didn't know it was in the ones place. I thought I was very dumb. Okay. It wasn't until I was asked to present at a brain conference that I went and learned about brain injuries. I went, oh, that could explain that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know what that's about. So the digital calendar is complicated for working memory because there's lots of things to click to get to where you want to go. And each one of those clicks removes you from the source of your original question. Okay. So you can lose track of why you even got there. Also, the problem with digital things, anything going into the digital thing, is that you're going into what I call the digital canyon, which is full of lots of distractions and potential exits to all kinds of things that have nothing to do with homework. Okay. So it's very susceptible for kids to wander off. And depending upon the calendar system that they're using, can be very complicated. Multi-sense. If teachers,
Yes.
they're not teaching kids well enough. And even worse, one teacher uses this calendar, another teacher uses that calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got lots of pitfalls for the people who really need them. And the month calendar view, depending upon the application that you're using, and the size screen that you are using to access this. So many of the kids today are using phones to access their calendars, right? And so your view of a month is nothing. Okay, it's this little tiny thing with these little dots on it. God only knows what that means. Okay. And so every time you have to change to switch screens, you're impacting working memory in a negative kind of way. And you can't see the future because two key executive functions, planning and prioritization, future thinking. Okay. Future thinking is the reason why I have an adult practice.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they are failing with getting projects done at work. They're failing at taking vacations and planning them.
Mm-hmm.
I work with a lot of physicians. I have a contract with a local medical school. Okay. I see all these resident programs. All these people come to see me, right? They can't balance everything because they can't see the future. So remember, time is invisible and they can't see it. You have to concretely see it in order to see the space that's required. It's like I'll never forget this resident who said it was 2:30 in the afternoon at Tuesday. And she goes, oh, Friday morning, I have to do this presentation for ground rounds. That's no problem. I've got a week.
Oh, no, you don't.
Do you know? But I had to get out a piece of paper and show her where she was in time on Tuesday, where she had to be on Friday. That left her basically Wednesday, Thursday. That is not a week,
Yeah.
But she couldn't see it in her head.
Yep.
Yeah.
So paper gives you this concrete view of the future, and it gives you an expanse that you can see. So here's how I think about paper calendars. A year is a 10,000 foot view. You can write this down. So a year, it's a 10,000 foot view. It gives you kind of, when does school start? When does it end? College kids, they have no idea when they go off to campus, when they get off, when winter break is. They don't know when the midterms are. No idea. Okay, they're just floating. You need to see it all together at 10,000 feet. Then the next view is at 5,000 feet, which is a quarter. This fits mostly with educators, but I can also work in the business world, thinking quarterly, a little more detail. Then you drop down to the month, you're at 1,000 feet, more detail is showing up. Then you drop down to the week, which is 500 foot. I got lots of detail. This is what's happening. These are my tasks. This is how it all fits together. And then you drop to the ground, which is your plan that you write for the day. So I ended up designing planners because I hated school planners.
I hate school planners so much.
I hated them. There's such a waste. And they put all this junk in there, and they have the wrong view of time. They don't, they don't do it right. Because what they have to see is when we're doing future thinking, when you have an assignment like a project due in a month, you have to write it down in two places. The day it is assigned, okay? And I would write that vertically instead of horizontally, and I would color code it. Okay, so it pops off the page. English paper, okay, on the 1st of October. And then the due date or subsequent, drafts, okay, those are also horizontal because they're not homework, not in the kids' brains, okay? You ask your kids, do you have any homework? They go, no.
Mm-hmm.
Second question, do you have any projects due? Oh, yeah, that. Okay, so you have to see it because it gets lost on the digital calendar. The deadline is way in the future. I got all the time in the world. Okay. No, you don't. And so then you put it there, and then you have the kids cross off every day. Okay. Why? they can see time passing. When this local middle school district started implementing this, they wanted to do it in the halls. And I said, you guys, it sounds good, but the kids are never going to turn around and look at the calendar, so it'll be useless. Okay.
Yeah.
So they had to put it in the classroom, and the teachers had to direct them so that every day one of the students went up and crossed off yesterday. And they said what happened in the room was fascinating. Most of the work was being done in class, but instead of squirreling around, the kids could see time passing. They worked in class more efficiently because they could see this time passing. And so when it comes to writing, doing paper stuff, I have them time. How long does it take you to make a to-do list? I do this, you guys. A good to-do list takes you less than a minute and a half. If you put more down than that, you can't do it. Time is not going to stretch. You've got a list that's not going to work. Okay. So you teach them how to use it, and that all goes together. It's complicated. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Very, very complicated. So my planner is a curriculum. It's a curriculum to teach kids to do future thinking, because it's not just about homework. It's about, when do I have soccer? When do I have a birthday party? When do I have to, when do I have to take my SATs? When are we on vacation? You teach them that it's not just about assignments. Okay. It's about imagining the future and being ready for it, seeing it coming, instead of it being this amorphous thing. It's called an event horizon line. And the typical person, I heard, can only see out about 3 months, adult. And after that, it's like a fog bank. Okay. People who have atypical kinds of brains or executive functioning challenges, their event horizon line can be super short. Mm-hmm. And so unless you give them something concrete that they can see, the future doesn't exist. So they're not going to behave as if the future is important because they don't see it. So I teach them how to do shorthand. Don't write read homework, read history. You write RH.
Yeah.
History.
Yeah.
You make it fun. You time it. How long does it take you to write that down?
Yeah, absolutely.
No time. Okay. Teachers who are doing this, it changes everything.
It does.
The kids are grounded. They know what they're doing. Their planners become their brain. It's called their external brain. And this is my planner. You guys can't see it. It's a spiral notebook size. Uh-huh. Not very big. It's my external brain. It has in it a year calendar. It has in it 2 years. It has in monthly calendars. Big enough space, 2-page spread. You can write everything you need on there. Okay. I have kids who have 6 classes, can put it on a day calendar space. Why? Because they don't always have every class every day, right? So, but they make it work.
True. Yeah.
And then there's whole pages for goals. What are my goals? Where are my projects? Yeah. And there's date sheets. It's more than what this one, but you want it to be small. They can sit their laptops on top of it. So it's with them. You have to think about what's the product, Anyway, it's fascinating. I never thought I'd go into that kind of world, but you just heard me get on my high horse, because it's like, why buy the silly things from China that cost you $1.50 when nobody uses them,
Mm-hmm. To pull back the curtain, when we've taken time off and given ourselves a break from the podcast, but you guys still keep listening and hearing a new episode every week, behind the scenes, we're planning out these episodes. And most recently, we have done it with having a multiple month view in one sheet. And Rachel said to me, we have a shared Google Calendar. And she said, let's just do it on the Google Calendar. And I couldn't verbalize why it felt harder for me. And this morning did some rearranging of some episode titles, and it was very complicated for me. My brain was struggling. And it just occurred to me why it is too hard on the Google Calendar for my brain to forward plan that out, because I can't see enough forward time at once.
Exactly.
That's where my problem is.
Exactly. You nailed it.
That's exactly what my problem is. Okay. So I have a lot of students. I let them choose what they want, right? Some kids, they want the digital because they don't, especially the kids that struggle with handwriting, and typing is just so much easier. Mm-hmm. Just having an external extra something that they lose every other second can be very, very hard for a lot of kids. But I have a lot of kids that want a paper one as well, my personal clients. And that is the forward planning that you do in the beginning of the year, the beginning of the week, the beginning of the day. Just like looking at all of that is so important. But what I have also found is I have a client in particular who wanted digital, but the digital calendar for this client is extremely helpful in a lot of ways, but doesn't help on the day of.
Yeah.
And so on the day of, I have gotten these Post-it notes. And when he comes in, I have several different like varieties, like the way that they're shaped, what is on them. He's got the one that he likes. I present them like, what looks good to you? And he's got this one particular week one that he likes. And he likes having this Post-it. It ends up being as wide as his laptop. Mm-hmm. He writes everything out. And we talk about when he's going to do it, how long it's going to take, what order, what is due when, etc. And then he takes it and he puts it across the laptop, mm-hmm. the Post-it. And that's his like today and tomorrow and the few days that we talk about together until I see him next. And he is so into that Post-it. Mm-hmm. He definitely puts everything in the digital calendar of when it's due and all of that. But it's the nitty gritty on the Post-it mm-hmm. that he is making strides with. And it's amazing to watch.
Yes. I'm not saying get rid of the digital calendar. I couldn't live without my. I'm just saying that it doesn't do future thinking well because you're trying to blend all these different elevations and space of time and tasks and getting down to the granular. So usually it's some kind of a hybrid. Yeah, you have to give people room to play.
Yeah.
And when people have the planners, I always say, you play with this planner. My planners actually come with videos of me teaching you how to use the planners, because it's like curriculum. And you give them permission to, I use flags for kids who don't want to write. Okay. We use flags so that they don't have to write math homework every night. They just stick the flag on there and know it's math.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Yeah. And they put it on a week sheet. So the week sheet in a planner system, you guys out there in the world can't see this. You have to help them see the space of their week. Basically, it's a bunch of lines 7 days a week.
Yeah.
This is the spatial aspect. You have them fill in for kids once a sports season, okay, mm-hmm. when their commitments are. This is only about commitments, okay? You see the commitments because what you're aiming for is the open space. When am I not committed? Okay, that's when you do homework and when you have fun. That's the other thing. Whenever I have kids make a to-do list, adults also, put something fun on your list.
Yep.
Because you will not do things if it's all yucky. You'll quit planning.
That's why we talk about prioritizing the social.
Yes.
You got to be kidding. I've had some personal stuff going on lately, and it's been really exhausting for me. And, while I was gone last week, Rachel went into my calendar and she put in blank space for me. And I'm not kidding you. I am so grateful that today I have space. She put the space in.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't capable of doing it. She needed to be my executive functioning for that. So thanks for that, Rach.
I got you.
But that makes so much sense, even for an adult who has great executive functioning skills. There's moments where you just struggle, and just having that time and space and energy for those kinds of moments and putting it in is so critical.
Mm-hmm. It's like what I said before we hit record. The 5-6 hours a week that you and I spend on podcasting, not having that in my calendar in the morning last week when you were out of town, it was like I had all this time. It changed the mental load of the week for me.
For sure.
People need to build that in.
Yes.
You put it on your calendar. You put it as a space.
That's what she did for me when I was gone.
My son's first birthday is this weekend. Actually, it's in a couple days, but the party's this weekend. And the day after, guess what? I'm not working.
Mm-hmm.
Because I need to recover. So I blocked out the time and I'm like, this is rest time. That's what I'm prioritizing that day. So we want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast and all the time that you have given us with your time. What is the one thing that you want to make sure our audience is taking away from our conversation today? If you could give them one thing.
What's the nugget?
You can't do what you can't do.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with a brain that has executive functioning weaknesses, you're dealing with a person, again, who has been wounded. They have an integrity issue. So you need to have compassion for that person. They're not lazy. Mm-hmm. Remove that word from your vocabulary. That's just adding more pain. Okay.
Yes.
So they can't do what they can't do. Your job as a parent, as an educator, as the adult in the room is to help that person to understand that they are not at fault.
Or even a spouse.
Or spouse, oh yeah, they are not at fault. And that they have a lovely mind. Nobody has the perfect mind. Mm-hmm. When we do the evaluation in the book of Dawson and Guer's model for executive functioning, we go through and everybody get plus, my brain's good at this, my brain's not good at this. Some of them are plus minuses. And I'll tell people, the more minuses you have in this constellation, the harder it's going to be to get things done. It's like I'm 5 feet tall. Okay. And so I can't reach things that are tall. My son-in-law is like 6 foot tall. They were just here for a week. And I was like, what happened to all my coffee mugs? I couldn't find
You put them up too high.
He put them up on the top shelf, and I never got even look at this top shelf.
That is so funny.
So what do I have in my kitchen? I could sit around and cry. I could complain about why did this blankety blank tall man put those things up there? No, I just go get my stool and move them down where I can reach them. Okay. So it's like, how do we support that brain? How do we acknowledge that it's different? And like I tell my people, I said, my brain has 3 strong pluses. The rest of them are plus minuses, and the double minus of working memory, which is terrible. Okay. Which makes it all harder. Okay. But that said, when I use the tools and external supports from my brain, okay, my behavior, I look like my brain is all pluses. Okay. My behavior, I'm amazed at what I've gotten done in the last 15 years, just utterly amazed.
Yeah.
I don't waste hardly a minute. I've had a house full of 9 people this last week. 2 different families. And I didn't think I could, I'm an introvert. I didn't think I could handle 9 people in a house for a week.
Yeah, that's...
Because I was feeding them and everything.
Marydee, when I host my son's birthday party, I will be taking like a 5 to 10 minute break alone in my bedroom.
Yes.
Well, my house is full of people. That's relatable, right? Yeah.
So, you have all these people. And then yesterday, actually, when they finally left, my husband has a picture of me sprawled on the couch on my bed with the cat asleep, in the afternoon.
Uh-huh.
But then yesterday, or Sunday, I guess so Sunday, I got some things done. I had laundry to do, sheets to wash, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I also created time for myself. I gave myself permission to sit and read this fantasy series that I picked up starting with my daughter on a trip, And so I thought, I'm just going to read. And then, if I get tired, I took a little bit of a nap and I got up and did some more work. And I said, I can read again. And, so I'm not always go, but I consciously was choosing purposefully to look at my time and space going, okay, I can get this done. I can get that done. I got some open space, and so I'm going to just kind of chill a little and wind down, but I'm always thinking that futuristically. So anyway, to parents and everybody, it's like, you can't do what you can't do. So with the confusion, what is it? Right down to chores. You tell your kids to do chores. Do they really understand what you mean by a clean bedroom?
Yeah.
Do they really understand what you mean by a clean toilet or a clean bathroom?
Yeah.
Have you actually taught them specifically, modeled for them, shown them repeatedly, gradually? Go look at chores like teaching kids to ride a bicycle. Okay. It's a rare child who just gets on and takes off. Okay.
Yeah.
So be aware that it takes time to train them to do everything. Because the other thing that you want to remember is we are not raising children. We are raising adults.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that just reminds me of what I didn't go on to.
Hold on. I'm already ready to invite you back for another episode.
We have to talk about
I love this.
what's driving me crazy. What I'm really worried about post-COVID is the fact that kids, A, the social skills have dropped off, but B, great inflation and expectations. In order to survive, everybody, teachers, parents, everybody, they just cut expectations down. That's not true in all private schools. Private schools have held the line better than public schools have. But there's a whole generation of kids now in the system who think they can get A's doing nothing.
Okay, so let's put a pin in that.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's great.
I would love for you to come and talk specifically about parenting this child, because I don't think we got into it that much.
Yeah.
So Marydee, how can people work with you? How can they connect with you?
Okay, well, we are on the web. I am very much on the web because I've been doing this for so long. But my company's name is Executive Functioning Success, which is really hard to spell. And when I made it as a website way back in 2009, my designer said, "Why are you going to use that name?" Well, guess what? I was foreseeing what was coming.
Good futuristic planning.
But you could go to Executive Function Success, and our website has all the different services that we have for people. So we have online courses. So if you're not in Portland, Oregon, or the metro area, if you're out of this region, we do distance stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is a very good program. I was doing distance on Zoom long before COVID. Okay. I've been doing Zoom since 2012. I was probably one of the first 500 people who Zoomed. So we can do that for families. That's a Seeing My Time course. And you get workbooks and you work through that. All family members can attend. You discuss it. We can contact us and tell us about your family and we'll help you figure it out. We have very well-trained people to work with families. And then we also work with adults. Okay, for Seeing My Time. That's for people who are struggling with their executive functioning. But in addition to that, and my heart lies in all these places, we're really educators here at Executive Functioning Success, and we care tremendously about teachers, just tremendously. I probably would have made a lot of money if I'd listened to advice early on saying, stay out of education. Okay, and I didn't listen. I didn't go into business. I stayed with teachers, okay, because you guys changed the world. And so we have 2 courses that are online courses that are very, very well received by people. So those are online courses that are offered every quarter, Teaching Seeing My Time quarterly, and then Building Executive Functioning Skills for the Classroom Teacher, for classrooms, that's winter and summer. And then what else do we have? Oh, and then we have speaking. We speak.
Yep.
At this point, mostly Julie's doing that, but she's very good also. We've taught with lots of different schools, lots of different settings. So we have professional development lectures. And we also do them for parents. We have a parent talk. So we've been zoomed into different schools around the country for parent nights. You know, that talk goes around the book that we were talking about earlier, 50 Tips to Help Students Succeed. So we have those books. We have the planners. You know, my mission has been to help people in whatever way that they can, because there's so much pain connected to these poor executive functioning skills. And it doesn't have to happen that way. We can teach, we can learn these skills.
For sure.
Yeah. One of the names of the podcast that we discarded was Learning to Learn. We went with Learn Smarter, but that would have been another good name. Marydee, we can't thank you enough.
Yes, thank you.
And we're so excited to continue the conversation with you on Patreon. So can you do our signature sign off, which is have a great week, Smarties?
Okay. Have a great week, Smarties.
Have a great week.
Have a great week. In order to hear the rest of our conversation with Marydee, go ahead and sign up on Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/LearnSmarterPodcast. And you can hear the extended conversation with her and all of the other amazing people that we've had on the podcast over the last 6 years, and also some other goodies that we put up just exclusively for you guys.